What's going on, you guys? What's going on, you guys? What's going on, you guys? Good evening. This is Pop and Politics, just the guys. Cheers, my man. Uh, as you can see, we are missing a person. Logic will not be with us this evening.
Beta,
It's all right.
beta.
Beta, as
It's
we
good for
call
the
him.
goose. It's good for the gander, man.
Hey, I'm
I've been
saying.
waiting for this day.
He's
Beta.
he's like, I've been waiting for you to dip just so I can call you Beta. Oh my
hmm
goodness. So, first things first, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, you guys. It helps further our content, be greatly appreciated. Check us out on our website, www.metroconservativemedia.com, where you can find out all the information about all the shows that we do. We do Pop and Politics on Wednesday night, the 8:30 show with KJ on Thursday nights. We have Just the Guys, which is the male take on the ladies' views on the show after the Wednesday night show. Gray Thoughts Matter, and
Which you
one,
haven't done
two,
in
three.
forever.
We're gonna eventually get back to them. It's just, man, the Wednesday and Thursday night shows, man. I tell you, my goodness. So yeah, we appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. Don't forget to donate. You can donate at
Yes,
paypal.me
we
slash
are shameless in our
metroconservative.
self-promotion, people.
Absolutely. It is important. It helps us get our
Where is
content
this?
out. We are a
Affiliate links,
necessary
donate.
voice. Yes. Let's go in there next. Our affiliate links are important. Don't forget, of course, as always, color, communism, and common sense. You can pick that up. We'll drop a link into the comment section for that as well. And the Tuttle Twins, very important, you guys. If you're trying to teach your kids and even you as adults, pretty much,
Pretty much
like,
you as adults, because you as
mhm,
adults are still need this.
mhm.
I'd say, see, without him here, we can't do ad libs because me to you, like we get, because I look it up, but it's
Uh,
like that's pointless. It's me and you messing it up. So beta,
well, you know what? Basically, what could happen is we could look up an ad lib for it, and then just have one person give.
yeah, that would suck.
Oh well, no, it would. Well, I mean, possibly, but
Yeah, I would, because all we
So,
get from you is church and Bible and book and
church and
football.
Bible, please, dude.
You
I'm
use
totally
church
the
and
opposite
book
of that.
in almost every episode, and or some deviation of that, and
Church and book.
clitoris. Yes, clitoris.
Yeah, that sounds
In a
church for real.
non-family friendly format.
We are definitely trying to stay family friendly. So, on the show tonight, first, you guys, pretty much what we do is we give the just the guys. We are the male perspective from the guys who are behind the scenes that make the show run, and talk about the show that the ladies had right before, and just give our view on what we thought about what they were talking about. The first topic was very interesting. I loved it. We both were at the
You
party.
were looking very fly in your
Oh
black
no,
with red
man!
trim, dude.
Look, I saw you and I was like, oh my goodness.
Dude,
I
I look like a
was
I like how Tyrone Keys says it. I look like a Panamanian arms dealer.
a Panamanian arms dealer. Oh
Yeah,
my
that's what he
gosh.
said I look like when I dressed up for the show and I was wearing the same sort of outfit. That's how I like to dress, man.
No, it's
Very low
good
key.
stuff. I saw the hat and I saw that. I'm like, dude, this is good stuff. I'm like, yeah,
This is how I
absolutely.
move around the U. Dude, I didn't dress any different for that as I would to go like grocery shop, to be fair.
See, that's what I'm getting at. I was like, what is you if you look at everybody else, eh, I mean,
KJ had it right though. Like tonight when she said, because that was really nice stuff they said about me. But anyhow,
mhm.
like I'm always the same wherever I
Yes,
go.
that's a fact. That is the truth. Um, the crazy thing is, we've been around I'm listening to you. The wildest quote unquote that I've ever seen you is was your Thursday night. And the crazy thing is that's still like you weren't that's the way you are. You know what I mean?
I executed a senior citizen. You're gonna have to live with that on my conscience for the rest of my life, but it had to be done. I'm sorry,
um,
trolling on the internet has to come at a price, man. Like we
I
gotta
get you.
start being better, like be best. I'm sorry, I hate that kind or whatever her nonsensical thing, Melania Trump,
No.
But
I give him credit. He showed up. I mean, I got to
he
give him
wasn't going to
credit.
show up. KJ baited him at the last second. He was AWOL till the last 10 minutes. Where I'm not. I'm not questioning. Like, the guy showed up. He did. He took his lickings like an adult. But this all started with the dude picked a
Yeah, I
fight
heard.
with a stranger on the internet. I hope he learns the most important lesson is that behind every person on the internet is another person on the internet that you're picking the fight with. You know,
It's a real
you got
person.
to start being better to each other.
Mhm.
That's my point. And yeah, people just have to, because things have to come a consequence. There have to be a reason. Oh, look. Good evening, Joseph.
Oh, Joseph, thank you for coming, bro. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming on Sunday
Yes.
night. I really hope you enjoyed yourself. I hope you got to meet some great people. It was good seeing you. It's been a while. I'm glad you showed up. Um, thank you. We truly appreciate it. And yeah, we will definitely receive that millionaires thing, man. It's coming. Um,
The party was good, man.
the
It
part.
was
Oh,
fun. It was such a smooth party, and it was so like, on one hand, it was very over the top and fun, and on the other hand, it was very low key.
mhm.
And the best way I could put it is I was able to work the door the whole night and be in the party. Like, I was able to come back and forth from sitting at the door because yeah, it wasn't like super crowded, but there was still a ton of people there,
Mhm.
and it like so like I was able to work the whole night and enjoy myself.
Yeah,
That's how good
same
the
here.
party
Yeah,
was.
that spinning the spinning machine that people were taking the photos at. Yeah, I definitely get that.
The
Um,
360 photo
that
booth.
360 photo booth was
We don't
awesome.
just make the shows work; we make all the events work.
Absolutely, that's what we do. That's what we do. It was fun for those who were able to make it. Again, we truly appreciate you guys coming out. It was outstanding. It was
All right,
outstanding.
enough patting ourselves on the back.
No, man, I
Oh,
was
yeah,
talking about the. We're not patting ourselves.
no, the
We're
show.
patting the
Talking
event.
about our own party, I hate that segment was so flat. Like, in general, like
Oh,
outside of that, the show was
okay.
fine. That was actually very good and spirited and high energy.
Hmm.
That patting yourself on the, like, I'm never for those topics. Like, we had the party, we can say some about it, but to have a whole remembrance of a party that happened 3 days ago.
Hey, hey, you know what? I honestly I appreciate your view on it. It's good stuff. I mean, that's why we're here
I
to
just
be
say
honest
so
about
like
it.
it's just awkward. It's beyond shameless self promotion at that point.
This is beyond that.
It is. It's beyond it. So I'm not keen too much on it all the time. But it was a good party. We had a lot of fun. Um, didn't make for good television. The segment
Hmm.
again, it was just fun. There was no, and it's because it's important stuff what they were talking about, but
Hmm.
it doesn't get clicks, that sort of stuff, or at least not the way you think it should.
I get you.
So
So it was good that we don't party a lot.
it's,
Because,
we should have more parties. They throw a hell
yeah,
of a party. That was
mhm.
possibly the best food I ever had at a
That was good
Cajun place.
stuff. That's
That
good
was some
stuff.
slam. Those meatballs were slamming.
Oh my gosh, that was definitely good stuff. It was. I
Mm.
don't know. I'm a Southern guy. We're being originally from Mount Sterling, so that mac and cheese and collard greens was just
That mac and cheese was something else too, man.
hmm.
I want to know what that flavor, like what he does to get it have such kick in it. Like what sort of cheese he's using to give it such kick.
Now, T makes some good mac and cheese too, so that would be interesting.
Yeah.
To put them
Oh yeah, I've
together.
had it. We've had it at Giovanni.
Yeah,
So Giovanni doesn't just throw big parties; he throws little parties too for all those people out in
yeah,
TV land.
absolutely.
Dude has barbecues at his house all the time. Now he built himself a nice deck. I'm sure he's itching to get people over there for that.
Oh yeah,
But he's a
absolutely.
beta. Let's be clear, he's a beta for
Ah,
not being here tonight.
no, if I'm sure he had something come up, something come
Oh,
up.
I'm sure he has very important things. Real life is always greater than virtual world, but
I
nonetheless,
agree,
beta.
100%.
And I can't emphasize that enough. Being that he brought it on himself by doing it to you that time.
Okay, I was about to say, man, I really hate to hear how bad you guys abused me.
No, he
Oh my
didn't. He
god.
said it once. He said it
Uh,
once, but that's what it is. It has to come back tenfold. So you don't. It's the mighty wrath of God.
I, okay, Good gosh. But all right, now that we got that topic out of the way, and again, once again, it was a great party. Thank you guys. The second topic they talked about were these three Republican governors. I thought, or the
Immigrants
moving
to
of these
Martha's
in,
Vineyard.
yeah. We didn't get to. I was waiting to get to play that second clip. That second clip was pretty much, and yeah, it wasn't clip number two. It was Charlemagne the God pretty much saying, that the fact that all of these migrants were moved to, you know, these high end sanctuary cities, you know, I'm like, it's not Chicago. It's Martha's Vineyard. You know what I mean? It's like, you're going to see a difference. People are going to say something about it. And then he ended it pretty much saying, what, this is proof that you're being hypocritical. And the fact is, you don't want them there either. That's
Yeah, but
that's that's what that
that's
clip was
because
about.
everything they do is for marketing purposes. Like, dude, think about it. That meme, the next big thing, right? Like, I follow the next big thing meme.
Hmm.
So it's the same thing. They throw the sticker in your picture, the frame. I got my COVID vax. I support Ukraine. I stand with the board, with the whatever, right? The black square Instagram days.
Hmm. Yeah, I
It's
remember
virtue
that.
signaling. That's the phrase I was looking for. God
Hmm.
damn, my brain is scrambled today. But it's virtue signaling. And they say they're going to be a sanctuary city because they're 1,000 miles from the crisis. They don't think that they'll ever actually have to see. So Martha's Vineyard claims to be a sanctuary city, and then you move people there, they kick them out, like they have the military remove them. It doesn't show how hypocritical. It shows they never, like, hypocrisy means like they meant like that they're trying to pretend to be. No one believed them in
Something
the
they're
first
not.
place. They didn't.
Exactly.
My favorite person is here.
Yeah, General Savage, welcome back, man.
Yeah,
We
dude.
can we can tell when you're
You're
out.
our biggest fan. Trolling us makes you our biggest fan. You know
Yeah,
that
we,
we
we,
talk
we
about you.
always look
Like,
for you. Yeah.
if it
Mhm.
makes you feel better, every show we recap all the nonsense you put in the chat. It's one of our favorite post show rituals.
Absolutely.
Like,
We
see,
we
this
can we
is
can
what we
tell
put
when
up
you're
with,
not here.
people. Um, you can't even enunciate full sentences that
Oh
make
my
any
gosh.
reasonable sense half the time. And then there's his psychotic ramblings. Like,
Oh
dude, we love
gosh.
you because it's amazing. You called Colleen a lizard person and a demon tonight. Like, that's some serious. That's keyboard warrior shit. You know how we handle keyboard warriors here on this show, right? Like, we've had that. Last guy who picked a fight with one of us went home crying. Just saying. Anyhow,
Let's see here.
but you
I
gotta
hope
love
this
him.
is all of
He's
this. Yeah.
relentless.
Yeah, he's relentless is the word. Absolutely. He just keeps firing. He just keeps firing. He really does. No, but I really agree with what KJ was saying in that aspect, and to an extent T as well. I both believe they said something about the fact that, uh, where are all these resources going to end up going? You know what I mean? It's we don't have enough. You know, is it going to get to a point in which we just don't have enough? You know what I
We
mean?
already don't have enough, dude. Otherwise, why would we have a homeless crisis? We're the richest, most powerful nation on earth, and we can't even solve our own homeless crisis. So we bus in illegals by the boatload every year because somehow that's actually going to solve some sort of problem that they're looking to fix.
No, I tell you. What did you think of the clip?
What? Which one?
Uh, the hold
Play it
on.
again, dude. You're asking
Yeah,
me to remember stuff
yeah.
from 10
You're
minutes ago. I'm
you're
old.
absolutely.
I don't even remember your name. That's why I call you Black Chad. It's really easy.
Oh boy! All right, yeah. Let's put this clip on. I want to see your views on that one again. Throw it over on this side. Let's add it.
Giovanni wants to make a whole show of this, me reacting to clips.
I mean, that would be an interesting show. Actually, this is the one. This is actually the one that I was talking about earlier. Hold on.
The KJP one.
No, there we go. Wire. All right. There we go. And add the stream.
These mutts. Come here, Lilith. Come here.
Oh.
Lilith, I'm not letting you know. Come here.
With the message of, if you like them so much, they're yours. Okay? Well, just in time for Hispanic Heritage Month, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis upped the game by sending 2 planefuls of immigrants to the East Coast elite's favorite vacation island, Martha's Vineyard, Massachusetts. I personally think it's genius. But I wish that governors like Ron DeSantis and Greg Abbott would give Democratic governors and mayors more of a heads up, because then that would expose the hypocrisy of the Democrats, which is they don't want immigrants here either. For months.
It's true. I mean, that's all virtue signaling. New York says it'll be a sanctuary city, but they bust them to communities in the Midwest and the places like. Otherwise, how do you explain the overwhelming Somali population in Minnesota and whatever? They put asylum seekers in places. It's a big deal that they're moving them to DC. Muriel Bowser is crying about it. Like, they can't handle it. So
then there's always
the whole thing is. Sorry, bud. Go ahead.
No, I was saying no. I get you. But this one was the one that everybody for some reason had an issue with online. They were saying she's lying.
Use immigrants
because they're not escaping communism. How many communist countries actually exist in? They're trying to say Venezuela is a communist country. A couple of years ago, it was a socialist heaven. The richest economy in the world, like one of the richest economies in the world, and it went tank up. And it was rich because of the thing they want to destroy the most, the oil industry. So, but they really only want to destroy it here. It's that we shouldn't have the oil industry. It's decentralizing America's power. It's like they gave away DNS. Everything they do, the Democrats, is to globalize things, is to make things remove the power that's centrally controlled here in the United States. That's a fact. That's what globalization is. It's to spread things around the world so that it's not in any one place. But look how that fucked us in COVID. You have to have everything within your own borders. You have to have it all. You have to be an industry. You can't. This concept of globalization is a brilliant idea as long as you maintain all of the stuff within your own borders as well. It doesn't work when you outsource your entire pharmaceutical and semiconductor industry to South Asia. Or precious metal. Look at what the precious metal, escaping communism. It's not even that. First of all, on a technical note, we got to stop playing clips that are 9 minutes long. That's bad. That's bad TV. That we're watching a clip. It's like watching a movie in class. How long till people stop paying attention?
Well, I get you. I get you. I mean, and yeah, things that are being worked on. That's why I like this show, because we can actually talk about the stuff having to do with the show. The back end of it.
Yeah, Giovanni hates when we talk about it.
Yeah, but I mean, just the guys. We are the ones that literally. It's all about how the show runs with this show, at least.
Well, you know why I bring that up.
What's up?
Why I bring up Giovanni, so I can tell you that he's a beta.
Oh my gosh! Oh boy, how many beta calls will we get? I tell you, no. I'm not a fan of it. I am a fan of it, but I'm not a fan of it because I believe Charlamagne the God is absolutely correct. But I'm not a fan of it because we already have enough problems as it is, financially. You said it yourself. It's absolutely right. We have a homeless population that's utterly ridiculous. We already don't have the majority of the resources.
Themselves every 22 minutes or whatever it is. That's outrageous, dude. We have huge problems internally. And again, it's all because we have partisan politics. It's all because one side has to win and the other side has to lose. It's not about cooperation. It's about that whole KJP press conferences is if they just work with us. You mean give you everything you want in a bill, and then maybe they'll get some scraps in return. But they're supposed to sacrifice anything that they have principle on in order for you to agree to even be willing to talk about an immigration bill or a voting reform bill or any of that. I'm sorry, I have no problem with the United States government issuing everyone a free identification card in order for us to be able to show ID to vote. I mean, you can make it happen, but they make everything the government does a business. And we choose to live like this. We keep voting for the same cycles. This is what I keep telling people. Like I like one of the things I like about Savage, our buddy Troll, is that he automatically assumes because we're conservatives, we stand in lockstep with Trump. Some people do. I don't deny that. He has a huge following within the party, and it's not diminishing per se. But there are plenty of people who, even if you supported him, aren't in lockstep with his audacity, even at this point in time. Like the dude still fills stadiums for sure, but look how just within the ladies, how they've moved over the course of time since 2020, that after 2020, they were all still lockstep in the Trump cult, as they like to call it. But now you hear them even openly talking about how the party has to move on, like Dan Cox has to move away from Trump to win. So even some hardcore supporters understand the realities of the political, battlefield out there. So
Yeah, and you also have to take into consideration that maybe it's just an us thing. Like, I mean, because this group, I mean, what is our mantra? We are lovers of truth, and I love the fact that people like Shelley and she does that often. It's like, yes, I'm conservative. You as well. Yes, I'm conservative, but you know what? You have to do something to actually get my vote. Willing to actually call out the stupidity of not just one side, but of both sides. Because I mean, it's one of those things in which you're sitting here like, man, you're choosing in a lot of instances the worst of two evils. You know what I
yes.
mean? It's
We allow for it because we don't demand better from them. We talk about it, but it's the joke in politics is everybody in politics is crooked except my guy, right? Everybody has their guys. We love our guy, but the whole system is broken. All of it. Like as citizens, we have to demand more. Like I had a neighbor, he was away for like 3 weeks in Puerto Rico vacationing. And the whole time, all these packages like he ordered months and months ago, finally, of course, Murphy's Law decide to show up then. So he starts texting me, to pick them up, like if I could do him this favor. And it was like this big deal to him because he didn't really know any of his neighbors. And that's the problem in America. We went from being a very community oriented, like even bigger, like communities that say they're community oriented, like the Black community in Baltimore. They all know each other, but do they know each other? You know what I'm saying? Like, do they know each other? Are they welcome? Like you have groups, sects, they all form off into their little tribes and everybody's doing their own tribal thing. Look at the level of gang violence that's escalating there. That's just demonstration of it. And these are people who say they're community oriented, that we stand one as a Black. The same is for Jewish community. Look, I had the whole dissenting argument with the guy the other night. So that's, and no community is immune from it. But we used to care about actual communities, like who our neighbors were, what we did, where they were, that, you could call on them for stuff without worrying about what the ask in return was going to be. I don't know. It's just, we want a better country. We have to build a better country. That's what the founding fathers did. They did it with blood. I mean, that's an extreme case for against tyranny. I don't know that we're there yet, per se. Voting still seems to function to some degree or another here. We should exercise our rights and demand better from ourselves and from our communities and from our politicians at large, just in general.
No, I get you, and that's why I say, and I say often. You've heard me say it before. I'll say it again. Not being from here, but my daughter is from here, and because she's from here, if you like it, she likes it. I love it. There's no way I
And when he
can
says
leave
from
it.
here, he means Baltimore.
Yeah, yeah, Baltimore and Maryland, because I mean, this is her future. This place is, we are leaving this to the future generations, and the objective is to make it however we can. Do something. Don't just sit back, be a couch potato. think thoughts and they'll actually do something to try to attempt to make this place better for them than when we originally got here. So
That's
that's
why they
why,
like to.
yeah.
That's why they like to scare people with the. This generation feels like they're less likely to succeed than their parents and such. That's a big deal. Why? Because a core element they were talking about it. What is it that the American dream at the end? The American dream is to. She's not wrong. That girl is living her version of the American dream. That's what capitalism is. But the country was built on the fact that enough people thought that there should be guardrails that we self-imposed, that the government didn't need to, that as communities we imposed because we had what they like to call morality of it. Like, yeah. And again, that changes because look now, our morality is defined differently than back then.
Mm-hmm.
And saying "Make America Great" isn't a yearning for segregation. That was immoral. It's a yearning for the sense that you went to a neighborhood and everyone's doors were unlocked because no one was afraid of being robbed. And you can say that's because all the communities were a single race or whatever, but that it doesn't have to be that way. It can be that all the communities are as diverse as possible, but people hold themselves to a higher standard. Why do we got to judge things by the least common denominator? I don't know. That's the problem with today. Why everybody has to be right. No one wants to get along. They were talking about it tonight. When they talk
Mm-hmm.
about that stuff, that's the stuff that people like to, because that's the story that's common for everyone. We all have different ways to how we got to where we believe this, but it's all because we ended up conservative because when we tried to work with people, they became unreasonable when you didn't agree with them absolutely.
It was
And
crazy.
eventually, that's
Mm-hmm.
what turns you over here.
Yeah.
I mean,
Also, the cultures are different, really. Especially like, I know you talk about the Jewish culture a lot. I talk about the Black culture a lot, and it's like, I
Black
don't know.
manosphere.
Yeah, I'm manosphere all day, every day. The problem is that, yes, Joseph, people do love drama. The problem is that, in this culture, and we were talking about it tonight on the Candace Owens aspect of it. You know, this culture, or our culture, it's like, man, it's you can find so many different things that are put in place to that we as a culture are just absolutely fine with. Um, yes, T was right, and this is jumping into the third topic, I guess. But T was incredibly correct when she said this young lady is her version of the American dream. So it is what it is.
No, it's our fault. No, see, as a society, it's our fault for creating this. I listen to some of the music that I listened, like I still love a lot of the music I loved when I was a kid, but I listen to some of it now, and the messaging in it that it has is so off the reservation of where, like, there's a reason we got here to where kids don't know whether they're a boy or a girl. I
Oh, don't get
mean,
me to that.
it's not an accident that we ended here. Like I hear some of the stuff that I listened to as a kid, and I'm amazed I didn't turn out more screwed up. That
Well,
I'm
I
a
mean,
functioning adult because some of the music is awful, dude. Like that, I know how to treat women properly, having grown up through the '90s, where you had the anti-PC movement. Like there's a movie that's Shadow Band. You ever heard of it? I'm not sure you'd hear ever heard of it, but there's a movie from the '90s called PCU. It's a comedy with Jeremy Piven. It's a terrible movie. It's horrible. But the whole joke of it is it's against the anti-woke. It's like an anti-woke movie. It's in the '90s. They made fun of that whole concept of right. Like that's how they countered cultured it when it was trying to break into the culture scene before everything was left like the way it is. People don't understand that, but that movie, the whole point I bring it up is that movie now, if you want to go watch it, you have to buy a physical copy of it. Literally. You cannot get it on any streaming service, anywhere. You can't download it. You have to physically purchase a copy of it because they have a shadow ban on it because it's so anti woke, because it mocks the woke culture so thoroughly that the people who own the rights to it own the rights to it to keep it off the shelf. The digital streaming rights, to be specific.
I tell you, yeah. I mean, this whole woke thing is ridiculous. It really is. To have children come back, from fourth, fifth, sixth grade, and they're being taught isms. You know what I mean? That's literally what the first racism, sexism, culturalism, all that good stuff. Ism. As
Yeah, but they can't read, they can't write,
yeah,
they don't
it's
know
mind
civics.
boggling.
Like
It's
they don't
mind boggling.
understand how it works, so that they can't fight the system. Like that's what amazes me. Like with all these activist teachers, the thing that amazes me, like when I went to school and I said, and like, high school or middle school, when we were old enough to understand per se, and we were talking about that we had an activist teacher, is they were fanatical about the system. They were, talking to them, you learned more about civics than you would ever learn in any class that you would take, right? Because they were activists, they were trying to work. Now, when you talk about an activist, it's just they're hammering home specific ideas. That's it. They don't care about making the system work. They'll break the system completely in order to win a single fight. And that's the difference between what activism was 20, 30 years ago and what it is today.
And
And that's the
also
problem.
some
That's why everything's burning.
some of these classes, some of these teachers, and some of these students. Actually, I can talk more about the students because you check some of the posts out. The ones that are really trying to teach about something when it's all said and done, you don't know what side they're really on. You know what I mean? They're just trying to
They're teaching
give.
the
Yeah,
subject matter. That's why.
absolutely. It's all about the subject, but those aren't the teachers that are. I mean, hold on one second. Let's see, we got here too many screens. Let's bring this up.
While we're on this commercial interlude and Chad
Mhm.
is technicaling it out over there, don't
Yeah,
forget, like, subscribe, and share.
absolutely. Like, share, and subscribe.
You can check us out at Metro Conservative Media. Here's our website, which we're
Mhm.
planning on actually upgrading. That's the big deal.
Absolutely.
Definitely send us money.
Shameless plugs.
And my shameless plug for my favorite financier,
Absolutely.
Tyrone Keys at Soldiers of Finance. Go check him out if you want to save your money and learn how to live off the land while making investment strategies. Definitely an interesting guy. And he's a super nerd. He's an ultimate, he's the guy who transcends the Star Trek versus Star Wars argument.
She
He's
really
both a
does.
Star Trekkie, he's both a Trekkie and a Star Wars fan.
Oh my goodness. You
I
two are
love
crazy.
talking
Just
to him.
watching you two are
Yeah, I
funny.
love having on. He gets all my obscure references too, so
Yeah,
that makes
Logic
me
and I are just
happy.
sitting back, like, just shaking our heads, like, yo, oh, okay.
No, he got Giovanni gets some of the references. I can't help it. The two of you are Carlton Banks. What do you want from me, man? It's not my fault. You guys are. You get half of them. He's more Carlton Banks. He doesn't even know. He's beta. There, I got it in again. Um,
Who said you two are Colton Banks?
but I'm just saying, like, he doesn't have. He has very limited pop culture knowledge of stuff that like was common for us growing up. Very, like, he's blown away. He has no, like, his sci-fi knowledge is almost, for a computer nerd, that his sci-fi knowledge is almost zero. It's mind-boggling.
I mean, computers.
You would just think with the fact that he's a cybersecurity expert, sci-fi would be some of his thing. Just saying.
No. I can understand why it isn't. I can definitely I can definitely understand. I mean, we deal in ones and zeros, man. That's pretty much it.
Dude,
It's why one thing
what
doesn't.
he does is very different than what you or I do in IT, to be fair.
Yeah,
He's a client manager engineer, dude. He's like the guy who's literally standing up systems for clients for his product.
I can agree with that. It is very.
He's like, so I've never met a guy like him who works in the field that he does that isn't a sci-fi nut. Like that
Hmm.
doesn't have like a heavy sci-fi that's generally in there, and he has like nothing. He's not a Trekkie. He's not really into
He
Star
has
Wars.
enough. Oh boy.
But he did get my obscure anime well, not obscure, but my anime reference, and countered with a better one.
What was his
Giving him
counter?
credit where credit is due with the sign, because I had my Vegeta over
Yeah. Over at the
and
back of
it's signed. You
him.
said,
Yeah.
do you know the same English voice actor for? And of course, right now I forget his name, but the same English voice actor for Vegeta is the same voice actor for All Might in My Hero Academia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I have a whole bunch of different things autographed by him, all my Vegeta stuff. He's a bunch of different voices right now because my brain is scrambled. I can't tell you, but
No, I
he's
understand.
relatively famous in terms of that universe. I
It
don't
has
know.
been a long day for everyone. It's
Wednesdays are a very long day, man.
Tuesdays and Wednesdays, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays.
I can't imagine what it's going to be. I'm going back to work like in an office now, full time. It's been 3 years that I've been working from home, and I was consultant for most of that time, so I didn't actually do any hard work.
I'm saying. I'm saying. Oh my goodness.
I was in meeting. Like my hardest thing was being in countless meetings over and over with the federal government. That's some brain mushing activity.
I'll get you.
This will be fun. At least I'm back to doing some like hands-on IT with my new job.
I love that stuff. I do. I really do.
It'll be nice, and it's an industry that I'm like good at. So financial services and whatnot.
So for their final topic,
Oh God,
yeah,
Candace Owens. I
yes,
mean, I like her, but
I love Candace. I love
she's
Candace.
just argumentative for the sake of being argumentative. Like when she's losing a debate, she just gets mean.
You know what? I don't think that. I think she just has specific points that are
No,
are
dude, she
very.
doesn't. She starts assaulting people's character. Did you ever see the one where she had it with the Blair White, the trans dude who's a woman or whatever?
Mhm.
She had an argument. I forget on whose show it was. Maybe no, I don't remember. And it just went totally off the rails. She looked like a complete clown. Like Yana's not wrong. She's good at speaking, at ovation, at orating. Um, but she's terrible at debate because if she like loses her footing, she just goes right for the jugular in the sense
Yeah.
like she'll attack a person and stop attacking the issues.
Mm.
But
I gotta stop myself from saying what I was
she's a
gonna
good
say.
voice. She should be a talk show host. She's a good talk show host. Like she's good at interviewing. She's good at having people, talking about topics. But having debating, like she's a conservative. Like the best thing to say is like she should be a conservative Oprah. That was
It was
on
Dave
Dave
Rubin.
Rubin.
Yeah. Like
But I'm just saying, like she can be a conservative Oprah. That would be the ideal niche for her. Is like that sort of approach to conservative messaging.
I
This
think
whole
personally, I think that would be outstanding. I just don't think she's got the. I don't think she's got the. She
she has white
and
women. She
say again.
definitely has white women.
So did Oprah.
That's what
That
I'm
was
saying.
Oprah's.
That's all
That was
you.
Oprah's biggest group.
That's
Yeah.
that's the point. It's like she should be the conservative Oprah. She should just stop trying to target. Like she should target the black communities for charity and philanthropy. But like in terms of demographics, she should be targeting white women the same way Oprah did.
She also is really strong on the in the aspect of men being men, women being women, um, and that whole.
So now we know why you like her.
No. I like her
She's
because
on your manosphere.
she is a true conservative. She's a
No, she is,
true
dude. I mean,
conservative.
she
You
has
know.
some things I don't agree with her, but a lot of things I agree with her. It's just she's not. I get why she's not appealing to the black community. Black community doesn't want to swallow the pill the way she's serving it up. She's like,
So in that statement, the black community doesn't want to swallow the pill the way she's serving it. So that's why I agree with what T said, in the aspect of even though she's right, when are we going to get to a point in which you know what? It's not how it's being said; it's what's being said. If I tell you, "Hey, duck," and you say, "Oh my goodness, you didn't call me by
when
my
you get
proper,"
hit in
and
the
then you
head,
get
is it?
shot with something, that's ridiculous. You know what I mean? Um,
You're not wrong. The problem is like people don't want to own. If personal responsibility was such an easy thing to accomplish for an individual, everyone will be a leader. That's what makes people leaders. Like I just had this conversation with that guy Nathaniel. He spent the night here the other night after the party.
mhm.
You know, the guy we use for foreign policy stuff and whatever. He's an interesting guy. Definitely not your run of the mill lobbyist, but we were talking about this. The very concept of how we elect presidents disqualifies everyone who's a candidate because the ideal version of being a leader is someone who is completely selfless because everything they do and decide is for the people and never for their own
It's for
ego.
everyone else. Yep.
The minute you want to be president, it's about your ego. So then from that moment on, I'm not saying you won't do good things. I'm just saying from that moment on, every time you make a decision, you have to temper yourself asking, am I doing this because of ego? Am I doing this because this is the right thing for the people?
I
And
get you.
that's the whole thing is right. We're imperfect creatures, and the whole idea is to live up to the ideal. But the very way we get presidents is that these people choose to want to be president is undermines the entire concept of what it is to lead a nation. Is because you always have to come. The glory of the nation has to come before the glory of the man. And that was Trump's downfall. The glory of the man always came before the glory of the nation. Had he been able to not have so much, like everybody likes a fighter and a guy who counterpunches, but sometimes he could have been better off by not responding.
That's the problem I have with the black church, and this is completely different. It's a completely different subject, I know, but the problem I have with a lot of these pastors are they don't know how to. It's not that they don't know how to; it's they don't really want to teach families how to fish. It's, you know what? Let me feed you, and that forces you to come back.
Well, that leads us to plugging shamelessly color communism and common sense because
Absolutely,
that is a
absolutely.
page out of that playbook.
I tell you, it's crazy. It is, and that's off topic. We'll get back to that. Let me
No,
get your
it's
views on
not.
that.
It's the same concept. It is. It's that
No,
like
no, I mean off
that
topic of the
ego.
show. That's what I
Oh,
mean
who
off topic of
cares,
the show.
man? I don't care, dude. If I cared what they talked about on the show, I'd actually sit up instead of lay down while I'm doing all my work. Come on, man. I mean, I listen to what they say for the quality of the show, but like for our show tonight
Mhm.
afterwards, it's whatever the hell I want, honestly. Without the referee here keeping me in check, and when it's just me and you, it's like having the two mice while the cat's away. I'm having
Oh,
fun with it.
jeez, yeah, we do have a blast.
Screw that shit, man. They could have said whatever they wanted tonight. I'm saying whatever I want here now.
I get you, I get you.
This is a dangerous episode. I wish Monica Smearman was here. I have my best arguments with that lady. That lady is
Oh, hey,
that lady. I got to give her credit. First of all, if she wins, no one worked harder. I don't have to agree with her, and I wouldn't vote for her. But if she wins, no one worked harder. She literally walks into every enemy camp and tries to change hearts and minds.
she does.
She
Yes, she
she
does.
doesn't care how much the odds are stacked against her, and no matter how many people within her own party, everyone should give that lady credit. If you want to know what work ethic is, what that lady does is work ethic. I do not have to agree with anything she says for that to be true. That being said, I still have my best arguments on air with Monica Smearman. That assassination of a 65-year-old, like that
Hmm.
was okay. But like with her, that one night where it was just me on here doing the guy show,
Hmm.
that was by far the most entertaining I have ever felt I was on air because I am not entertaining.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Actually, believe it or not, you're an incredibly knowledgeable guy. Absolutely.
Yeah, I've
Oh
got
my goodness.
good
So
education.
no, so that's the and you know what? That's kind of how I feel about Candace Owens. Um, the the thing
She's super
is,
smart.
she
She's like
will,
scary smart.
and the reason I believe that she does not, as the lady said earlier, she does not fit into the quote unquote black culture well, is because it all has to do with self accountability. Think about what she said about George Floyd. Do you remember
Oh
that?
yeah,
I
dude.
mean,
She stands out because she preaches solely personal responsibility. Because
hmm
she, on personal responsibility, made it from rags to riches. She achieved a version of the American dream. See, The problem is the ladies are wrong. There is no one singular version of the American dream. That's capitalism. If you can make it, then make it. Some dude made millions selling a pet rock. Are you going to tell me that that's moral? No, it's not moral. He took advantage of fucking retarded people, and retarded people said, here, take my money. I am in the group of retarded people for very many things. Every time a new video game system comes out, inevitably, here, take my money. I want things too. If you are out there and you have an idea and you can market it, you deserve the right to claim. Look, I totally disagree with some chick shaking her ass, not because I don't have a problem with that. In fact, I am a big proponent of sexualizing women because it's entertaining. But the fact is that doesn't help us. Like, we don't do anything better as a society by doing that. Women are not more free or independent as a result. In fact, the freest and most independent women are the ones who choose to have standards. Like, regardless whether I agree with what those standards are, you are the freest and independent when you are self-restricting. That shows the most level of freedom because you can do it and you choose not to. That is as simple as it gets for freedom. Like,
yes, and for guys, it's dick discipline. I get that. I truly get that. The problem is that is not, and cheers, yes. The problem is that is not, you don't make money off that.
It's sex sells. No,
Yeah.
100%. But again, if she wants to shake, and that's her, I don't disagree with Colleen either. When she goes to bed at night with her life, she's very happy that she's made it financially. I'm sure a part of her would prefer that she's not sexually compromising herself to make money. Eventually that will catch up with everyone. Like, that's because you just don't want it to be that you're selling your body. No one feels comfortable ultimately, like, because you feel cheaper from it if you have to do things that are over the top just to get your payday.
But ultimately, guys support that.
It's in there. You have one. Everyone does.
Ultimately, the guys support that, though.
Of course you do, because I'm a heterosexual male. I support women walking around half naked everywhere. Like, don't get me wrong. I love my woman. I love my woman so much that I'm not like, it's not words that I can express properly. But that being said and done, I walk through the universe, and when they're all wearing second skin as clothes, a beautiful woman is a beautiful woman. A figure is a figure. And of course we do. It's in our nature. They're playing to our basest instinct, and we're not going to look away. My buddy,
I said that last week, and you said it turned really dark when I start talking about sex.
Wow,
no, it's the truth, man.
We were talking about like a lighthearted subject, and you went right to, like, not lighthearted, but we were talking about like a philosophical concept of how like men should listen to women, right? Like, we were like, the whole point is that like men should listen to women. I meant it in like a metaphysical concept, like an abstract thing, and you're immediately, it's about sex. Like, that's right. You jump down the like dark. Of course, that's like taking a dark turn. Here, I'm not saying it's any less dark. I'm just saying we were already there with the terms of the conversation. But the fact is that like men want it because it's built into us, and they know that, and that's how it's. Again, I have never seen a woman who has authority over men that isn't either compromising themselves somehow to achieve it or creating standard. It's one way or the other. There isn't like an in between. They either make themselves restricted, right? They have standards of what type of guy they'll deal with, whatever, or they won't have sex right away. Hell, I'll be lucky. I don't even talk about sex before marriage because that's so rare today. But like, I'll talk about women who won't have sex on the first 3 dates. You know what I'm saying? Like, even that is more restrictive than the general rule that goes on in the world.
Well, women are much more sexually active today than men are.
And that's not freedom. Yeah. None of that. Feeding your basest desires endlessly is not freedom. You end up empty and hollow. Like, they have all these rock songs from the 70s about it.
Yeah. And then
Life in the fast lane. Every time I think about what the world is today, besides Idiocracy, the other thing that pops into my head is the Eagles song, Life in the Fast Lane. It's like, literally, we live that song.
Yeah, and anytime you're in lack of discipline, you're bound for failure. Seriously.
So I'm just saying, like, women do that because men will pay for it. Girls are not her base. They're not majority. Like, OnlyFans wouldn't be a thing if desperate men weren't willing to part with their money.
Let's be real here. Like, you wouldn't see so many selfies if there wasn't a like button.
Dude, I
So
want to understand how everyone is okay with being a porn star today. Like, not everyone,
because of
but
money,
like,
because
why
of
are
money.
so many people okay with, like, why is that? Like, I understand it's a legitimate form of earning a living. I'm not questioning its value of it, but like to say that someone who went out and learned how to cure diseases like a doctor is equivalent to someone who literally just takes their clothes off and parades around on camera, that doesn't seem reasonable in a society. Like, they both perform even arguably necessary functions. They're not the same sort
Arguably.
of necessary. I'm sorry that I'm trying to be as open minded as humanly possible. If people who know me in real life know that
Hmm.
I have a much stricter stance on
You
things
do,
like this.
yes.
But again, on the show and on the network, we are very open to alternative concepts and statements.
Hmm.
But the fact is that even if you give them everything they want, it still doesn't add up to where we are, that they're walking around naked in the street to make a statement for feminism. That's how it's showing me your titties, like your and like, and
Yeah.
again, how is the hypersexualization of everything? Like, the reason why teaching kids about homosexuality who are 6 and trans is wrong is not because you're against homosexuality or trans. It's because teaching them any sexuality at that point is hypersexualizing a child.
Hmm.
Their minds aren't even wired to work that way yet.
No clue.
They don't even, like, even if they do, it's all what you tell them. They're just parroting.
And that's why
Children
it's
have
the
no
job of the
right.
parents.
People,
That's why
if
it's the
people
job of the parents.
Yeah, but if
It's the
people
job
were
of the
honest,
parents.
forget about parents. The parents, like, at this point, that's a fail. The system collapsed. Parents didn't do their job. Otherwise, we wouldn't fucking be here. And again, pardon the language. Tonight, I've been really loose with the
No, it's really
expletives, but we're
okay.
on YouTube. We wouldn't be here if
Hmm.
parenting worked out. Like, my parents did a good job, and my family still has its issues like everyone else. No family is immune.
Hmm.
Like this, so like parenting failed in the terms of what you're talking about. You know that we wouldn't be here if kids want, like, the minute parents demanded their kids get participation trophies, like that
Yeah.
concept alone is that showing what is what is the reward for being involved in an event. Like, literally, the mechanics of it. When you do something, you gain experience, right? Like, we're all
Hmm.
gamers and everything. We think of it in numbers, but in real life, that's true. You experience an event for the first time. The next time you go to it, you have a point of reference to remember from
Agreed.
the first,
Hmm.
right? So, like, it's experience. You gain experience. So, the literal reward for participation is experience. There's a
Hmm.
direct reward. Why do you need a trophy? Why do you need to take away the lessons of winning and losing? Because some kids were hyper competitive, then you're teaching those kids wrong. Those kids are that, like, you could create. Why is it that you have to elevate everyone to take away glory from those who deserve it? Why is it that you have to grade on a curve? Right? Like, why are those things? Why do they have to exist? Like, that's not going to get you the best results ever.
I
Like,
agree
it
100%.
never nets you
Yeah.
anything. So
Look at colleges today though. You have the Asian culture who have a specific standard when it comes to the
education,
testing to get
yeah.
into a specific school, but then and it happens with a lot of different things. I mean, they're trying to make it so that, and they're trying, and hopefully they'll come to the realization that it isn't going to work. That some of
No,
these
they're not, dude. It's only,
quotas,
dude. What do you mean?
no,
Again,
I
I
mean,
can't. I
look,
can't.
look,
Like, that. I
the
feel like
quota,
that's a naive statement.
no,
Like,
well,
sometimes, like, but
right.
okay. So they said I'm blunt. So tonight I can get away with more leeway because on the show, on the air, they talked about my off-air life.
No, I mean, but let's
So
be
I'm
real here.
gonna be
You're the
very
same
blunt
all the
with you.
time, aren't you?
Sometimes you say shit that is so naive, brother.
Like
Like,
what?
that's a very naive we wouldn't be here if we were doing anything right in that. Right, dude, we are spiraling the
I
drain.
agree 100%.
We are
That's what I was
literally
talking.
a
I was
nation
talking
in
to Jay
decline
today.
because we choose
I,
to deal with everything
I
emotionally instead
agreed.
of logic.
Yes,
Like,
you're
so,
100% right.
like, we wouldn't be here if
Hmm.
any of those things were functioning in a way that we could rely on anymore.
I was talking to Jay today, and I told him, I said, we are the. You have to understand, we are the example for the future.
Dude, I've heard
we
religious
are
people in
all.
the last month alone tell me
Mhm.
that God isn't watching all the time. People who hold themselves to extremely high religious standard. Like they told me to my, like I asked them, so you're saying that everything in life isn't a test and that God isn't watching you all the time, which is a fundamental core of basically all of monotheism, right? That
Mhm.
there's one true God
Yes.
concept, right? Like all the
Mhm.
one true God religions all hold to the fact that you're being graded on your existence.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
people who hold themselves to religious standard of that regard told me that they don't, and one of them is a teacher in a religious school.
Mhm.
So you understand that basically, if those systems work, that should not happen.
I
These are
agree,
people from
but
the next generation who are educating the generation after that and influencing and they're saying literal
yes.
contradictions to the
Mhm.
basic tenets like that. It's mine, but they say it with like a straight, like these are not people who think they're saying anything absurd. They literally telling it to you. This is what
Mhm.
they were taught. This is what they
Mhm.
know. We have made compromise after compromise that these systems no longer function the way we could. Like this is what I've said before. You guys talk about the grand answer of how things get fixed in Baltimore in this country or whatever. How do you get there when you don't have anything that's working? Like you can't turn to a single system and say, okay, let's start here because here's functioning. And if we work from here, you're an IT guy, you know how it works. You work backwards through the problem till you get to a point where it's working. And
Mhm.
then you start working forward again to try and solve it in the most uh, wide range possible, right? Like to do the,
Mhm.
so
But we're
like,
a society today that we are a society today, exactly like you said, that you know what it is we don't want to hurt people's feelings. We don't want
okay, right,
to
but, like,
we don't
you
want to
saying, like, maybe they'll wake up. If that was the case, shouldn't that be happen? Like, there's not enough people walking away. It's not.
that's the key. That's why I told you, like I said, I told Jay today, I told Logic today, I'm like, bro, we spoke today. I said, bro, do you understand? We have to. That's what I was telling you last week about. You said you were wearing your Make America Savage hat
uh,
at a hotel, and someone said we have to be the change.
yeah,
We,
I
we
agree, but,
we
like,
understand that we have to be the ones that are. We can't sit here and say, you know what, I'm upset about the fact that this is this way. Then do something about it. You know
yeah,
what I
but we
mean?
are doing something about it. It's like,
But we
to
have to
be
find
fair,
more people that are
yeah,
willing
but
to
that
do
we
something
dude,
about it.
we're sitting here right now having this conversation, doing
Hmm.
something about it technically because we're getting
Hmm.
the message out and trying to stimulate response, thought and provoke response and such. But that being said, I mean, from a systemic, right? Like the left loves to talk about systemic racism, systemic
Hmm.
injustice. But from a systemic perspective, these things exist still only because we purposely broke the system in order to win little fights.
And to make money.
Yeah, that's capitalism. Again,
Hmm.
like we do everything to make money. Like
I
that's the
get that.
saying, like I get
I
out
just
like
don't
people.
understand how people don't see the fact that this is only being done to make money.
Yeah, but that's not.
Hey,
No,
Tyrone,
there's
Tyrone,
no
good
way,
evening,
dude.
man. Good
Money
evening,
isn't
man.
the only. Money, sex, power. Those are the three. If you're gonna say it, at least be fair. It's money, sex, power. Accuracy is.
Tyrone, good
What's he
evening,
saying?
brother.
Exactly right. Even the
Yep.
U.S. military now genuflex towards that emotional. Yeah, yeah, writing
Yeah.
that. Dude, for the first time in my life, I heard the United States military say it doesn't have enough stockpile of weapons and it can't restock them enough. There was never a day
Wow.
and age that would be an acceptable thing that they're not war ready. Like there was never a time like we had low readiness, but never that we didn't have enough bullets to shoot. Like that's I'm sorry, like we live in backwards. Like I'm saying, it's
Mhm.
look. I'm all a proponent for like getting rid of stupid drug laws. Don't get me wrong. Like everybody in Maryland should vote yes on question 4. It's stupid that we're putting away people in jail. Like people go in for pot and come out fucking go watch Blow. Like
Mhm.
literally, everyone should watch Blow, and then you should understand that should simply make it clear why you should be legal. That dude went in for selling marijuana, came out learning how to move cocaine. No one goes into jail and comes out less a criminal. Like we should learn that system's fundamentally broken, or at least our idea on that. It's prison is a form of rehabilitate. Like you can rehabilitate people. That number, it's like drug addicts. It's like
Yeah, it's crazy.
with 3 out of 10. Those numbers are tiny, and no one's saying you should stop doing it, but again, let's be realistic with our results. Like, this is the problem. We live in this idea like Baltimore, Mayor Scott, 5-year plan. He's giving an update. Now they're revamping their thing with safe streets, right? Like they're trying to, and I get it. You got to be dynamic. You got to fix the plan on the fly. Again, here, trying to give every more benefit of the doubt. But ultimately, what do we get? Higher crime numbers, more murders, more gang problems. I was just in Baltimore Saturday night to go for this party. We had the motorcycle problem. You cannot go through Baltimore and not have the dirt biking, the making a mockery of the laws, the rules of traffic.
Yep, and they don't care.
And again, I'm not someone who follows every single rule, but there's a limit. Society needs guardrails. We need to respect each other's space. And like I always say, there are ways to show support for a person's right to not be oppressed while not expecting their ideas and ideologies being forced into my space or your space. I'm still allowed to have my space and let my neighbor live.
Yeah.
And we're like, again, that's the problem. None of these systems that are supposed to promote that anymore. They all promote individual victories and seesawing the next group to get a bonus over the last group. I mean, again, I was talking to that Nathaniel guy, and he's a bill on the floor that has to do with amending. Basically, it's a way to amend the American Disabilities Act's restrictions on income earned while keeping healthcare benefits for disabled people, because he wants it to be that a disabled person should earn money that would, have a job but still keep his public benefits. But the way the law writes is that if you earn, you're not disabled, because that makes practical sense. If you can have a job, why should the government give you health care? You should get a job with health care. If you're going to go work a job without health care, that's your choice. You could choose to stay. Oh, I can make more money. Then you're making a choice to not take money from the government. You're healthy enough and not disabled enough to make that choice. Why should the government still, like, that's the argument against him. It's the practical argument. No one's saying that we want to take benefits away from disabled people, but at the same token, there has to be a limit to what the public sector is going to cover for you when you choose the life you lead. Like, what socialism is you get, like, I listened to Yana talk about stuff going on at home in Belarus, like her friends that she grew up with. She still has a very tight circle, and they have kids, and like one's going to university. And the only way you can get into a state-sponsored school is if you fit a narrow path and you're on a goal path the whole time. You go for a degree in X, Y, and Z, and you go for it. You might take 10 years or whatever to get there, but on the public dime, but you're literally on a career path the whole time. You're not there taking a women's studies degree or a cultural arts degree. It's all career-oriented. It has a job, like it has a field to get a job in at the end of it, so that you're a productive member of society. So why should the public pay for your education if you still get to choose what classes you take? You see what I'm saying? Like,
I get that.
Choosing to do this. So why should your freedom be exercised at the right of everyone else's freedom, their taxes? My taxes can be better spent on someone who actually is targeted career path that can get a job that makes it contributing. I don't need any more Starbucks baristas in terms of paying for 6 years of college. I can not pay for your 6 years of college and make you a Starbucks barista.
And you can still be a Starbucks barista.
And you can still manage a Starbucks, and you could still go to college later on the management training program from the company. But again, it all started with you choosing a specific choice. You chose a major, or you chose to get a job as a disabled person, in terms of what I was talking about with Nate's bill. It just doesn't add up. We are in a society where no one wants to own it, and they always want everyone else to bear the burden of their problems and choices. That's what the whole abortion, like everything in society, every argument between the right and the left comes down to, I want the right to choose and make everyone else burden, like my burden be everyone else's burden, and I want the right to choose and be left to my own devices.
Well, I think the right to choose is important. I mean, I get that, but just you can't expect, the equality of outcome because of it.
But that's the whole point. That's what I'm saying. Is you get a free will. You get to pick your life. Otherwise, if you want to take from the government, there should be restriction on you, severe restriction on you. If the public sector, like if everyone in your community has to support you, it's not a matter of that you're going to find, like, this is a famous one, right? They say you should drug test welfare recipients, and the argument from
I agree.
the people who are against it say that there's no proof that these people behave better like that, and it doesn't. It's true. They happen to be right that the numbers just don't. There isn't enough. It's just not, because they beat enough people beat drug tests. Like, if you're a pot smoker, you can beat a drug test in this day and age. There's plenty of products out there that get you past.
But there's
I
nothing wrong
mean,
with accountability.
but at the same token, even if it doesn't, it's if we're going to give them money, we're going to make it harder and harder for them to keep getting the money. It should be easier to get started on a benefit program, and the longer you're on it, the
It should
harder
get
it should
harder.
be to maintain.
I agree.
It
I
should
believe.
be that
I believe you
only
should get
those
rid
in
of it.
the darkest needs get endless, like that. We have multi-generational welfare families. That's welfare failed. That is proof welfare failed.
Yeah, that's crazy. But it also proves that what the government understands that you said it's capitalism, right? The government understands that as long as we keep them on, we'll create something different that they can go to that's a necessity. And instead
Yeah,
of the fixing the problem, because understand that fixing the problem is just like something like AIDS or cancer. Do you think that the United States really doesn't have a cure to that already? You just make more money by treating the symptom than curing it.
I,
So, I mean,
that's
and
true.
and
Big
and, you,
pharma
and
is
that's
another
and that's
problem.
capitalism, and that's capitalism
Look,
for you.
corporations in and of, like, the whole way everything is, that there are things that are too big to fail. Like, those facts is that we try and cushion everything from everybody, all of that. That like, basically we want a consequence free life.
Hmm.
That's what people want. We want to choose whatever we want, and we want no consequences for it. Problem is that no matter how much we want that or try and will it into reality, it doesn't work. The fact is that every woman who's out there who says they had 8 abortions and that empowered them to have their life, they live with that. However that is, they live
Hmm.
with those 8 abortions. Whatever that internal there's no non-struggle.
Hmm.
Whatever your choice, if you choose to be an ultra religious person, you live with that burden. You live with your choices. Whatever sort of soul you want to have is gonna be reflected by your choices and all, but you have to live with that. There's no avoiding the mechanics of the universe. You can say a boy is a girl and a girl is a boy all you want. And it always makes me think of how Jews, like how I was taught in yeshiva, how Jews are supposed to look at, like a Jew who becomes a Catholic, right? Or
Hmm.
something like that, converts to another. They're just an irreligious Jew. You can't not be a Jew. You're born a Jew. It's in
Yeah,
your
I,
blood.
I I get that.
Right,
Yeah,
right. Like,
I
so,
get
like,
that.
it's saying,
Yeah.
like, it's the same thing. You're born a man, you're born a woman. It's in your blood. Like, I have that same sort of look at it. Like, you can mutilate yourself all you want, but you go down to your chromosomal level, they're going to know what you are. When they examine your body in 100 years, when they find your grave, or 200 years, they're going to
They're
know
not going to say
exactly.
you're ace. They're
No,
not
no,
going to say
they
you're
might,
a.
it might say that we can clearly tell he picked to be a woman, but this dude was a man, and this was a part of the rise of transgenderism in America. He's from that generation, but it doesn't matter scientifically. However they spin it, ultimately science is going to say whether they had XY or XX chromosome.
And that's where it starts. I mean, and literally, that's why I say all the time. And people were we had this question asked. What is a woman? And what did I say? Foundationally, an XX chromosome. Right. That's what's foundational. Whatever you choose to build on top of that
Dude,
socially,
it's
it is what it is.
dude. The
But
argument is
you know what I
always the
mean?
same. I agree with you. No,
There are
I'm
all
with
these
you.
different
I'm with you
names
on
for
it.
it, but it is what it is. What is a
Dude,
man? Foundationally, an XY chromosome.
the fact that we have these like, it doesn't make sense. It's not reasonable.
Why do we have to have these
No, no, hold
conversations?
on.
You know what I
This is
mean?
what I mean by when I
You know?
say that. I understand
Really?
that people think that they're men think they're women, women think they're men. I understand that condition exists in the world. But the fact is if we step away from gender or sex or whatever you want to call it, like gender identity,
Hmm.
and we go to other mental conditions where someone thinks what they are isn't what they actually are. Like, I think I'm a black man, and I'm going to walk around professing I'm black because
Hmm.
I believe that I have black skin, or that I'm Abraham Lincoln, or that I'm the Queen of Sheba. You
It's
would never.
possible. I mean,
You,
Yana is technically a POC.
yeah,
But go
well,
ahead.
that's true. But that being said, but I'm saying, like,
Uh,
that if I was professing to be George Washington, you'd put me in a facility.
Mental assignment. Yep.
So it's the same thing. I'm professing that because I feel. What do you know what it is to feel like the opposite? Like I couldn't tell you what it is to feel like a woman. I'm sorry. Like no matter
Mhm.
what, no matter I can guess, I can. But I'm a dude, and I have
Mhm.
dude instinct and dude impulse.
Yeah, I get you.
So
And
no, Tyrone is saying interesting shit. See, I'm gonna just
yeah,
take
hold on, I'll pop them on
hold
real
on.
quick. Oh, okay, you got
Come
it.
on. I
All right, I
got
got
it.
him. I got him. I got him. I
Oh
got
my
him.
god. If I told you wanted to come out, identify with black people, right? Yes, I would lock you up. That's exactly my point. That's it's dysphoria, and like it. I'm a big proponent that the
Oh
rationale has
boy.
to be like yes, there are exceptions that make the rule, but not everything is an exception. So you can't keep picking and saying this one doesn't fit, this one doesn't fit. There is no evidence that these people live any better lives other than the fact that they destroy, like only in the way where they're gaining by stepping on others. Like the only way I've seen trans people be happy is if they're out there in women's, like for example, like what's the ultimate, why do they want to compete? Because we're women? No, because you want to be recognized for your achievement. You start, you're as a man, you're the 330th biker, and then as a woman, you're the top biker in the world or whatever it is. Like that's
I get that. I also believe that some people, and you're probably right, but I also believe that some people are doing it just to prove a point. I also
I,
believe that some people,
that's
like,
insane. You understand that that's even more insane than just being confused on a psychological
no,
level.
no, I get that, but why do you
Like
think?
that is people are voluntarily picking to change their gender in order to say I'm biting. It's like biting your nose to spite your face.
No, people are choosing this to say this needs to stop. I mean,
That you know what you sound
you're the
like? You sound
300th
like the
swimmer in the world,
conspiracy
but you're
theory
the
has a
first.
conspiracy theory attached to it, but
No, I mean, let's be real here. You said it yourself, and we talked about it about a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago. You're the 300th ranked swimmer in the world, but you know what? Let me become a woman, and you're breaking all the records.
yeah,
You're and
that's just
sometimes
ego.
I really
That's not
believe. Hmm?
dysphoria. That's ego.
Yeah, but sometimes I really believe that some of these people are like, when are you going to get the point? When Serena Williams was like, look, quite frankly, and I forgot the name of the male tennis player. He said she would be like 700th in the world. Everybody flipped out about that. Let's be realistic here. The guy was like ranked number one in the world for 3 years. And in an interview, he said, "Look, here's how we fix the problem. Why don't we just combine the sport? You know why they don't combine the sport? Because men and women are different. I mean, I'll just say it like that. Men
Really,
and women are
I
different.
feel like I just learned something that I never heard before.
No, no, I know, and that's that's why I do enjoy.
No,
But I
but
mean,
dude, I get it.
the
It's
fact that I have to say that, the fact that I have to say
but
that, and
that's the whole thing is like that's what I mean. We're corrupt to like we're see corrupt implies like I'm trying to say it's some sort of legal thing. No, we're worse than that. We're at a soul level corrupt as a society in the West. And I'd say the West, it's not just America, it's the West as a whole. It's this
Mhm.
whole we are so corrupt to our souls that we can't even make up our minds about who we like the person we want. We're so tainted. Society is so damaging to people at this point that like we're literally confused about whether we're men and women. Like that, it's up 3,000%. The
It's
amount of
crazy.
people claiming, like, dude, if that's the case, that means it was the most oppressed group in the history of oppressed groups of all time. If that's real and not social conditioning by all the messaging that they have
Hmm.
out there. These people lived in the shadows as an obscure statistic until now, and all of a sudden they're 2% of the population.
You
And
said
even then, that's
obscure
small, but they went
statistic.
from like a 1/1 millionth of a percent. Like, think about the rapid growth. And you want to say you're born that way. So you're saying nature versus nurture has an answer? That's a question as old as time. And yes, anything you can be born with can be conditioned into in terms of behavioral responses that you have can be conditioned into you. If you bombard a
Mm,
small child with enough information, they will grow up to only believe what they were bombarded
absolutely, agree with that 100%. And that's why I have an issue with the conditioning and the of our children now. 100%, and I believe it always goes back to the parents. You say the parents failed, yeah, yeah. The parents have that. The parents have failed.
Parents didn't stand a
Yeah.
chance, honestly. To be fair,
Mhm. It's
your
crazy.
generation, like you being a parent, you don't stand a chance. It was like it was always a quib line to say, how can you compete with them sitting in front of MTV, like when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s and stuff.
No,
Now
people
it's like,
say I'm crazy
how
when I
can you
tell my.
compete?
Hey, mhm.
They're having trash, like literal. Like I love cat videos, but that's garbage. Cat videos are trash. They are. They're literally visual trash. It's meant to. It gives you an endorphin rush. It's a visual drug. You are feeding yourself something for short-term gratification centers in your brain.
Mhm.
That's what you get out of a cat video. Again, I love cat videos. Subject to all the same predispositions as every other human.
Mhm.
But the fact is we bombard ourselves with garbage. It's like we have the opportunity with the internet and technology to eat filet mignon every meal in
It's a
terms of
crazy
what we
age. It
expose.
really is.
And
Yeah.
everyone has McDonald's, Wendy's, and Burger King for meals.
I was telling my our youngest daughter. For those who don't know, I have two girls. One that's in college and one that's in sixth grade. And I was sitting here telling her, I'm like, baby, do you understand that you know the stuff that you consume? That's why I believe parenting is so important. I mean, the stuff that you consume, you we're in a completely different generation. I sat here, I bought a book about how to make paper planes, and I'm like, baby, let's make some paper planes. And she's like,
Mm.
I don't want to do that. It
They,
like
they rather play Roblox on their
yeah,
phone.
oh, don't even get me started with Roblox.
But dude, that's the whole
I
point
tell you,
is that
yeah.
how can you, it used to be they said how could you compete with MTV, right? Like how can you be like I
Hmm.
forget there's a quote in a movie where oh True Lies. Where
Yeah, great movie.
that's
Yeah.
what it is, where Tom Arnold's talking to Schwarzenegger saying how are you supposed to compete to get the Madonna all day in the head, whatever. He has a whole shtick about that, right? Talking about
Hmm.
how his kid steals from the wild, right? And that's the facts. They literally have in their hand unrestricted, like as a society, it used to be a thing that if you gave your kid a phone when they were like too young, like what does a kid need a cell phone? Now you couldn't
Hmm.
find a payphone if they wanted one. So every kid has to have a cell phone.
It's something else. So the parents that are taking the time to say, you know what, I'm the one that's going to make sure, and I seem like an outlier. I mean, no, there are a few of us, and I know currently you don't have kids. I get that, but I'm like, dude, we to see, you can't blame it all on the teachers. You can't blame it all on.
No,
You have
that's
to take.
it. All starts at
Yeah,
home. I
you have.
agree.
It all starts at home,
But I feel like
and
parents didn't stand a chance because they have to fight. Like unless you disconnect your kid from technology on a regular basis, like
And you
literally.
know what? Then you might have to disconnect your kid from tech. I mean, we haven't said. I mean, our daughter, she only has a specific amount of time, and that's it. I
Yeah,
mean,
but even in that time, you have to regulate so much what they
oh,
do.
of course, of course. I mean, it started off in which she thought reading an hour a day was punishment. I'm like, no, that's important. Yana Pom Pom. I would not allow kids to play electronic games.
Dude,
I
you're
think
supposed to
they
put it
make
on
me
the
crazy.
screen. You're a
Yeah,
terrible
I was
producer.
about to. I was reading
While
first.
you're
No,
reading it, buddy.
I get it. And you know what? And you
Yeah,
know what,
she
Yana
hates
Pom
that
Pom,
I
you
game.
are
She
absolutely right. You
she
are
hates that
absolutely
I
right.
game. But
I
that's the
mean,
but to be fair, gaming is not a bad thing. Gaming in excess is a bad. Like if you
anything in excess is a bad thing.
it's
You drink too
a
much
but
water,
being
it'll
the
kill you.
game like they have studies like
Mhm.
people like as crazy as it sounds, but you train your eyes in a way by playing video games, especially like ones that are reactive, like first person shooters, for
Mhm.
example. uh, in a way that you don't train your eyes normally in real life. So like they have visual gamers have visual like have people who play games a lot have a much better visual acuity in terms of
Mhm.
interpreting data coming at them. So like when they're driving,
Mhm.
they did a study that gamers are better at dealing with chaotic driving situations, like responding to scenarios,
Mhm.
and drastic changes.
Yeah, let me pop this up. This is you know what, Tyrone? You get it. Chinese children and teenagers are barred from online gaming on school days and limited to an hour
Yeah,
on weekends. And okay, so I was telling my daughter this. I said,
that's it in the extreme. That's
yeah,
the other end of the spectrum.
I was telling my daughter this. I said, don't you think it's weird that China owns uh China owns
TikTok.
what's say again?
TikTok.
China owns TikTok, but they don't allow TikTok
That's not
in.
true. China just has its own version of TikTok. It's its own platform separate from regular TikTok so that they don't have to filter out all the rest of the world's content. But the exact same company who owns TikTok owns the
Okay.
Chinese version of TikTok.
What's the difference? And the difference
And it's
between the
just
two
there's
is
no
again.
content from outside of places that the Chinese version is available.
Okay,
So they
so
could
pretty much it's
think
only
about it from IT terms.
okay.
As an IT guy, if you were a company and
Mhm.
you were making an app for everyone in the world, but in some places you had to have it more restrictive than other places, what would be easier? Keeping that content completely separate on its own app platform while using the exact same platform, calling it something else and running it in the restricted places so that you don't actually even have to filter out all that it's billions of terabytes of data that they don't have to deal with now. Because now it's much easier for them to moderate their content because they don't have any of the Western world.
I get it. So why are they getting rid of the Western world?
Because from their society point of view, we're decadent. Like again, but their view is also ultra restrictive. It's not any better. You have people like fleeing Hong Kong now because it's becoming too much like the mainland.
So basically, they're saying, you know what? What's being promoted out in the West is just not good for our children, or not good for us in general.
That's true. I agree with Tyrone. He's not wrong, but they do it in the extreme. Like there has to be a
Yes,
better way. Like it
but
shouldn't
look
have to be
at what the
government
results are.
mandated.
No,
It has
and that I agree with. The
it
government
should be
mandate
that
aspect, I agree
people
with that
do it
100%.
like their parents on their own regulate. Like I just feel like these things are more.
You're right on that as well. I talked about this on the guys show about a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago. Um, I agree with that 100%. The problem is the reason that wouldn't work here is because men can be women if they want to. I tell my
It doesn't
daughter
work
all the
here
time.
because we're free. It doesn't work here because we are free. Like let's be clear. Like I have to
yeah.
remind, like, see, the left isn't wrong. Given to their devices, there's a puritanical sense to the right. Like we burn, like it's true with MAG as it is everything else, but it's again, the left isn't any less guilty. But the people on the right have to be careful because some of our ideals are not going to line up with everyone else's, and that's a fact. And we have to have space for each other. Becoming this ultra, like I agree, they do these things, banning effeminate men and stuff like that's important. Like I don't disagree that it isn't a good move to preserve their culture, but it can't happen here because you don't want someone to ban you because you wear glasses or you're black. I mean, I don't want to say that because that's the one like on the nose, but like, so
Nah, man.
you can't do it. You can't say that what we have to do is as communities, again, what was supposed to be the guardrails of America, churches, synagogues, temples are supposed to promote community, and those communities are supposed to have strong moral standards and align with religious belief.
And in the
That's
black
how
culture,
you
that's
deal with
completely
these
different
things.
because that's based on that. What is that based on? That's based on family, and that's based on
Yeah, but
community, and it's based on
black community chooses to live that like it's still a choice. Like ultimately,
that's
it
true. But
boils
like you
down,
said
it's a choice.
earlier, that is true. But like you said earlier, like parents, we didn't stand a chance. They didn't
Yeah.
either.
Okay, but
If the stuff is just
fair
pumped
enough.
and pushed, and I'll sit here and say to someone like we'll sit here and talk, and I'll be like, yeah, you know what? I believe this, and this, like Candace Owens, and I'm considered a traitor to my race because I have free thought. So we
Yes.
all have different
Yeah, but
things that we have to
everyone
deal
who
with in the
has free
culture.
thought, like, see, like this is the thing that gets me.
Hmm
I call it the snapshot, the snapshot in time effect. Everybody sees things like it's like the moment they're looking at is frozen and it's not fluid and a part of a series of events that occur and contributing factors that occurred and a series
hmm
of responses and reactions after. But the fact is like that's a very snapshot in time because it's not limited to the black community. It's every community suffers the exact same. It's true for all of them.
That's
They all.
true. You're
If you
absolutely
don't, if
right.
you like,
Everyone's dealing with
if
it,
you
but
don't
for our
stand like if
14.6% of the population, it's strange how
73% of Jews, Jews in America are not Orthodox or non-Orthodox or not what would be called like like how I would deem them non-observant, and they call themselves religious. They make that dude kept trying to pronounce that. It's the same thing all over. Like every community wants the exact same deal. They all claim the same thing too. The Black community suffers from it in its respect. The Jewish community has its problems where it says that these are things that it suffered generationally. And yes, there's anti-Semitism and racial crime and everything, but it's all choices. We all are choosing our lives. Like, yes, we can't choose the things that happen to us, but we choose how we deal with them. Everything comes down to choices. If the Black community wants better outcomes, then make family more important. Make more Black Chads of the manospheres and the Reasons, Logics of the world, KJs and Tarias and Evies of the world, Shellys of the world and stuff. Like, dude, these are choices. If the Black community wants different results, if the Jewish community wants to make different choices.
Agreed, but then there's that thing called self-accountability, and we as a culture just have a hard time.
Yeah, but again, Black is not the
I know you say everybody. I know you say everybody.
Look at white culture. White culture has zero accountability. They talk about accountability all the time, but white culture in America has
zero accountability. Yet 54% of that, almost 70% of the population are married. So that means they're getting something right.
Marriage, like
they're getting something right.
Third or fourth marriage. Like statistically, first marriages fail at over 60%. Second marriages are
yes, but hold on. Those first marriages fail over 60% because the woman that's getting married to the man usually has a specific body count.
Again, I'm not. You're right, absolutely. But you just said that of the white community, like 60% of them are married.
No, I said 60%, 64%, 54% of them are.
70, but of that amount, 60 to 70% are on their second or greater marriage.
Okay, but I get that. We're at 26%, and we're not on our second. We're not on our second marriage.
Let's be clear: jumping from marriage to marriage, like having 3 ex-wives, also damaging to your kin, your offspring, in a different way. So again, so it's not single parenthood. So now instead, it's just multiple broken homes. And having 12 stepfathers or stepmothers. Come on.
Okay. No,
if you end up in the same place where you have screwed up kids who think boys are girls and girls are boys,
does
it really matter of the details between the groups are indistinguishable. The problem is a universal problem that affects all groups the same. Freedom is collapsing. Right? Like the country is losing its stand. Like we're losing our grip on what makes this country solid.
Get you, Gimpy. I tell you, I'm going to be 100% honest with you, and that I enjoy talking to you. I do because I enjoy when we can get together because I'm not going to say it's not censored or monitored, but I enjoy the fact that we can just talk about stuff. You know what I mean? Talk about different things, and that's why I appreciate you truly. We have come to it is now like right. It is definitely time. I have fun with you, man. I do. Thank you for.
Although my shameless promotion to the new Juju Kaisen movie came out, anime always there's something behind me on the TV every week for anybody who ever noticed.
I get you.
It's my low key.
And for our shameless promotion, you know what, you guys, we are Just the Guys. We are the group that puts the Pop and Politics show together every Wednesday night. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Metro Conservative Media. We are on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Check us out on our website at www.metroconservativemedia.com. Tyrone, you are the man. Thank you very much. We appreciate you, really.
Good night,
so have a wonderful evening, Gimpy. We're getting out of here, you guys. Have a good night. Thanks for chilling with us, and we will catch you later. Have a good one.
Later.